In these next clips, we're going to be talking about acceptance and willingness, and we're going to be focusing on the core competencies in Chapter 2 that include contacting the cost of control when you're unwilling, and also looking at the paradox of control. And I'll be working with a client who has had a difficult history of trauma. And largely she's been working to avoid the experiences that accompany that trauma. So we'll lead in from there.
Yeah, that's a really painful memory. I just would rather not go there at all. I just don't really like to talk about it.
And so when you notice that you don't want to talk about it, what emotional experience shows up with that?
I just am kind of numb to the experience. I just over the years I've blocked it out, tried to at least, so I just find not dealing with it at all, just not trying to think about it is the way that I've been.
So one of the things that I'd like to ask you to do at this moment is to just see if you can let yourself contact the experience of numb. Is it there? Do you notice it?
Yeah.
So let's start there. With that particular experience, where do you notice it in your body?
Right here?
Right here. And can you describe it some?
Yeah, it just kind of feels like a fist.
Okay.
A little bit, and like I can't really breathe that well.
All right. So just notice that you're having the thought, can't breathe, that it's shaped like a fist, and just let yourself be present to it for a moment.
It's hard.
Yeah, notice that one too. Take your time. And then as you notice this feeling, I want you to think back about when this feeling shows up and you're present in it, you're trying to get away from that painful experience. And when you do that, what's the cost? What happens?
I'm forced to relive it.
Okay. So it shows up even when you don't want it to be there.
Yeah.
Okay. So one cost is a kind of this paradox. I don't want to feel it, but there it is.
Yeah.
Are there other costs?
I guess it just kind of seems like even when it's not in the forefront of my life at that moment, it's just always there.
So it's almost like it's haunting you.
Yeah.
And when it's haunting you, how workable is your life? What's going on in your life?
I don't feel like I'm a part of my own life.
Okay. So one thing that it sounds to me like is happening here is that numbing out and running away actually makes the problem grow. Like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So let's just start where you're at, in the difficulty of not being able to talk about it, as a way to turn towards and be willing to experience what's there for you.
Okay.
So here, this is an ACT-consistent move in therapy. The client is asked to show up to the moment of what she experiences, to be willing to experience numbness as it is. We're also looking at the costs of the numbness and the avoidance so that we can link up the unworkability of the agenda of control, going numb, stopping from telling the story or hiding from the story, and get into showing up to willingness, being able to have the experience that perhaps in the future it can free her to act on a more workable agenda.
It's really hard for me to even try to verbalize what happened, and I just feel like I'd rather not go there at all. I just don't want to go there.
And what emotion shows up with not wanting to go there?
Numbness.
Well, I understand that you would feel the experience of numbness. That makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to have these kinds of experiences. I think anybody in your shoes would feel that way. Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, it's still there, but yeah, that helps a little bit.
Good, because sometimes these kinds of things can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And when they're overwhelming, sometimes it helps to just back off a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
How are you feeling now?
Well, I feel a lot better being able to step away from it and not have to go there.
Good. So in the initial segment of this particular clip, it was fairly act consistent, getting her to recognize the emotion that she's experiencing in the moment is what you would do in ACT. However, once that emotion is recognized, in the name of validation, I change and move in to try and comfort her in some way, letting her know that she's not alone, that it makes sense that she feels that way. And although that may be helpful in small ways, probably in the long run will not help this client find a place where she can be flexible and more willing in such a way that her values are actively chosen. So there's a place here where I allowed her to escape, and in that escape we reinforced the notion of control. So in this segment, we're going to be working on competency 7, and here we're going to look at the cost of unwillingness relative to valued life ends. This particular client is struggling with her relationship with her boyfriend. She's feeling rejected and is trying to overcome her emotional experience around that rejection.
Well, I just feel really self-conscious and unattractive around him, and he's really motivated to work in his career, and I feel like any needs that I have when he's busy doing that should be second nature, and I want to be supportive, but I just end up creating this whole anxiety trip around basically sharing my needs and my wants in the relationship.
Okay. So what happens for you when you begin the process of sharing your needs or wants? What emotions show up for you? I hear anxiety in there, and is that what happens?
Yeah, anxiety, fear that I'm going to say something stupid or that he's going to disagree with. I feel like I'm this tiny little...
And from this place where you're feeling anxious, that you're this tiny little speck, what happens to your relationship?
Well, I think initially he's open to having the conversation, and then this voice in my head just won't stop talking. It's like I can't even hear what I'm saying. and then I just end up shutting out.
Okay. And is your relationship, it sounds to me like it's not going the way you want it to. Is it growing further apart?
Yeah, it feels that way.
Okay. So there's this anxiety that's in there. There's this kind of running dialogue in your head about this is going to be stupid.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be a bother, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to feel those things? And I'm not asking you to like them or want them, right? This is not about loving them or anything like that. But would you be willing to feel them if it meant that you got to have a closer relationship with your boyfriend?
Ultimately, yeah, that's what I want.
Okay. So maybe in what you're wanting, clean, what you're wanting is a good relationship with your boyfriend.
Right.
That part of that includes feeling the anxiety, letting it be there, noticing the thoughts that are going on in your head, and taking steps that are about moving closer. And these can be little tiny pieces of willingness. They don't have to be all or nothing. It's a process where you can move into getting closer to your boyfriend and carrying these emotions and thoughts with you.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to do, but it's hard to feel those things and carry on normally.
Right. So even that thought too, bring that one with you and take those steps. Would it be worth it to you if you got to have a closer relationship?
Yeah.
Okay. This is an ACT consistent clip. Essentially, what I was working with the client on is willingness to experience if it means that she gets to attain valued life goals. For her, she wants a closer relationship with her boyfriend. So it may mean holding the anxiety, being present to it in the moment, noticing the thoughts that she has about being stupid, and choosing a valued path, which might mean talking to her boyfriend. It might mean getting close to him or inviting him out, talking about the struggle. There's a number of things that she could do that would be specific goals that honor that value that she has with respect to the relationship while carrying the emotions with her.